All right, today we are breaking down a really fascinating and pretty intense article from the Shasta Beacon. It's all about a California law that the author claims is an absolute nightmare for businesses and, believe it or not, for consumers too. The article makes some seriously bold claims, so let's just jump right in. Yeah, the article really comes out swinging with this quote. It doesn't waste any time setting a critical tone, framing California's Private Attorneys General Act, or PAGA as it's known, as basically a system designed for profit, not necessarily for worker justice. So what is PAGA, really? Well, it was put on the books back in 2004, and the original idea was pretty straightforward. Help enforce California's massive labor code. You see, the state agencies were swamped, so the thinking was, let's empower employees to act like private attorneys general and sue on behalf of the state. But this is where the story takes a turn, according to the source material. What started out as a tool to help the state has, in the article's view, morphed into something else entirely. The author argues its use has just exploded way beyond what anyone originally imagined. And check out this number because it really tells the story. In just one recent year, a staggering 10,126 PAGA notices were filed. That's a record. The author uses this figure as the key piece of evidence that this system is just spiraling. And looking at this chart, you can really see the trend. I mean, it goes from just 11 notices in 2006 to over 10,000. Wow. The article specifically links these huge spikes, like the one you see after 2014, to certain court rulings that it says just open the floodgates for these lawsuits. It also points out that even recent attempts to reform the law haven't really slowed down this climb. So you see these huge settlements, and you have to wonder, who's actually getting rich here? This brings us to the article's core argument, and the financial breakdown it lays out is, well, it's pretty wild. Okay, take a look at this. Based on the article's data, a typical settlement gets sliced up like this. The state takes the lion's share, 55%. The lawyers get a huge chunk, 34%. And the actual aggrieved employees, the people the lawsuit is supposed to be for, they're left sharing that tiny little sliver at the end. And if you want to see the actual dollar amounts, here you go. The source says that in a settlement of almost $1.4 million, the lawyers can walk away with nearly $500,000. The state gets around $750,000. And the average worker at the heart of the whole thing, the article claims they might see about $1,000. So you might be asking, who's getting hit the hardest by all this? According to the article, these lawsuits don't affect every industry the same way. It really zeroes in on a couple of specific sectors that it calls primary targets. The article calls the hospitality industry ground zero. Think about it. Restaurants and hotels have tons of hourly workers, really complex schedules, and super strict rules about meal breaks. All of that, the source argues, makes them incredibly vulnerable to these kinds of lawsuits. And it's not just a theory. The author lists some real-world examples to drive the point home. It mentions a restaurant in San Francisco that settled for $1.6 million, a Burger King franchisee facing almost $2 million in citations, and other big-name restaurant groups that have also been hit with major suits. But it's not just about restaurants and hotels. The article makes a pretty strong case that even California's legendary tech giants are in the crosshairs. And it claims this constant legal pressure is one of the big reasons you hear so much about businesses leaving the state. And again, the article provides some major examples to support this idea of a tech exodus. It points to the huge landmark cases against Uber and Lyft, a massive $15.5 million settlement for another tech firm, and it connects this whole legal environment to huge business moves like Oracle moving its headquarters out of state and Tesla cutting thousands of jobs. Okay, so maybe you don't own a business in California. Why should any of this matter to you? Well, the article's next point is that actually everyone in California is paying the price for PAGA. So here's how the author connects the dots. When a business gets hit with millions in settlements and legal fees, they don't just, eat that cost. The article argues they pass it right along to you, the consumer. So that $1 million restaurant lawsuit, that could be why your burger now costs $2 more. Those hotel legal fees, they might be hidden in your higher room rate. All of this leads to the final big question the article tackles. What's the solution? And it really boils down to two very different paths. Do you try to fix the law, or do you just get rid of it completely? The article definitely doesn't hide its opinion here. It points out that reforms were passed in 2024, but then filings hit a new record the very next year, which suggests the fixes didn't work. The author's main argument is that the law itself is just broken, especially for small businesses that don't have giant HR departments, and that the only real answer is a full repeal. And so that's the question the article leaves us with. Is PAGA actually doing what it was designed to do, protecting workers? Or has it, as the author claims, become a shakedown law that ends up hurting the very economy it's supposed to regulate? And that is the argument presented in the Shasta Beacon's article on California's PAG law. Our goal here is always to just break down the source material for you, giving you a clear look at the case being made. Thanks so much for tuning in.